Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Roman Reigns' OG Bloodline secured a massive win over Solo Sikoa's heel version of the Bloodline in the men's War Games match at Survivor Series, War Games 2024. The babyfaces hit Sikoa with their respective finishers before Reigns pinned the self-proclaimed tribal chief. Roman's faction is currently shorthanded due to Jimmy Uso reportedly dealing with a real-life injury that he sustained from the punishing men's War Games match. This leaves the OG Bloodline in need of a potential replacement. One realistic possibility is that Zilla Fatu, son of late WWE legend Umaga, could debut as a member of Reigns' babyface crew. Zilla has previously shown support for the original tribal chief over Solo Sikoa. Recently, he has made headlines for calling out the new tribal chief while he was performing in a match at an independent show. Fatu also referenced Uso by performing the yeet gesture, which can be seen as a subtle hint that he is interested in being a replacement for Big Jim in his absence to take on the heel stable. Real-life Bloodline member reveals he does not like Solo Sikoa using his father's finisher. Solo Sikoa has been carrying the legacy of the great late Umaga by performing his renowned finisher, Samoan Spike. With his aura as an unstoppable force, Sikoa has arguably registered his name as a future WWE champion. However, while speaking on Busted Open Radio, the real-life Bloodline member, the son of Umaga, Zilla Fatu, expressed that he does not like Solo Sikoa using his father's Samoan Spike finisher. For Solo Sikoa to try and take my fads, father, move, I don't like that, Zilla Fatu said. Zilla Fatu has been making waves in the independent circuit and is a natural fit for the Bloodline storyline. Still, it remains to be seen whether Triple H will introduce another new member to the saga and add a new layer of intensity to the storyline as we approach the new year and Royal Rumble 2025. Real-life Bloodline member says, I want it all after publicly calling out Solo Sikoa ahead of WWE Raw. A real-life Bloodline member has sent a bold message after recently calling out Solo Sikoa. The star, Zilla Fatu, wrote on X/Twitter that he wants it all. Solo Sikoa isn't in the best of moods at the moment. He lost a massive bout at Survivor Series, War Games 2024, and took his anger out on a bunch of superstars on SmackDown. Zilla Fatu, who is the son of the late great Umaga, performs on the independent circuit currently. He recently called out Sikoa by publicly asking him where he's at. Hours later, Zilla took to X to send a bold message as can be seen below. Rikishi's big praise for Solo Sikoa. Solo is the current leader of the Bloodline. His dad and WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi recently showered big praise on him while speaking on the Rikishi Fatu Off the Top podcast. Big shout out to Solo. I'm gonna tell you why. Solo had to step his game up once the guy that brings all the banks in, Roman Reigns, once he stepped out, and here comes Solo. There was a lot of pressure. Is he going to be able to carry that weight? Can he carry the ball? But we've seen the short amount of time, the growth of this professional, learning all he's learned. He was able to adapt into this Solo Sikoa role, and you can hear it, the fans online, he got heat so quick. It's because how Solo invested himself into this character of who he is. He's a made man. H/T Fightful, Solo is bound to notice Zilla Fatu's recent comments calling him out, and it would be interesting to see if he responds to him. Many fans believe it's only a matter of time before Zilla makes his long-awaited WWE debut. If he does, one wonders if he will join Solo's Bloodline or pledge his allegiance to the OG Bloodline. The WWE Universe was abuzz following recent tensions within the Bloodline. While Roman Reigns continued to assert his dominance as the tribal chief, cracks within the foundation of his once unbreakable family dynasty were becoming more apparent. Solo Sikoa, once a loyal enforcer, had begun showing signs of defiance. His recent confrontations with Reigns hinted that the Samoan powerhouse was no longer content with following orders blindly. This internal strife led to speculation that Roman Reigns was seeking to restore order in a dramatic and unexpected way by bringing a WWE legend into the OG Bloodline. It all began on an episode of SmackDown where Solo Sikoa hesitated during a tag match. Partnering with Reigns against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Solo deliberately refrained from tagging himself in, leaving the tribal chief to fend for himself. Roman managed to secure the win, but his glare at Solo spoke volumes. The tension exploded backstage, with Paul Heyman caught in the middle, desperately trying to calm the storm. "Solo," Roman growled, "you think you're ready to run things? You think you're bigger than the bloodline?" Solo, unflinching, responded, "Maybe I don't need the bloodline. Maybe I'm my own bloodline." The room fell silent. Paul Heyman, clutching his phone, looked on in horror as Roman clenched his fists. The tribal chief knew he couldn't afford to lose Solo, not yet. But the time had come to remind everyone who built the bloodline empire. In a private meeting with Paul Heyman, Reigns laid out his masterstroke to bring in someone who not only carried the weight of Samoan wrestling heritage but also commanded universal respect. A WWE legend who could restore order and realign priorities within the group. "There's only one person who can fix this," Roman declared. "The OG himself. Rikishi." Heyman's eyes widened. Rikishi, Solo Sikoa's father and one of the most respected figures in the Anoa'i family, hadn't appeared in WWE in years. His involvement could shift the balance in Roman's favor. The following week on SmackDown, Roman Reigns addressed the WWE Universe with his usual commanding presence. "For the past 3 years, I've carried this company. I've carried my family. I've carried Solo Sikoa. But lately, someone's forgotten where they come from. Someone's forgotten what it means to acknowledge the tribal chief." He turned toward the entrance ramp. "So I called someone who knows exactly what it means to honor this family. Someone who's been doing it for decades. Ladies and gentlemen, acknowledge Rikishi." The crowd erupted as Rikishi's iconic theme music hit. Dressed in a sharp suit but with the same swagger that made him a fan favorite, Rikishi walked down the ramp, nodding to the roaring audience. He climbed into the ring and embraced Roman, though the interaction was visibly tense. "Solo," Rikishi said, addressing his youngest son. "You're my blood, my flesh. But you're also part of something bigger. The bloodline isn't just Roman. It's not just me. It's our history, our legacy. And right now, you're putting all of that at risk." Solo Sikoa appeared on the ramp, his expression unreadable. He slowly made his way to the ring, standing face to face with his father. "I respect you," Solo said, his voice low but firm. "But you don't know what it's like to stand in this ring with Roman. You don't know what it's like to be treated like a pawn." Rikishi nodded, as if expecting this response. "I know what it's like to fight for respect. I know what it's like to feel like you're not getting your due. But this isn't the way to handle it." Roman interjected, his voice dripping with disdain. "Solo, you're out of line. You're forgetting who made you relevant. Without me, you're nothing but an angry kid trying to prove something." The tension in the ring was palpable. Over the next few weeks, Rikishi became a regular presence on SmackDown. He served as a mediator between Roman and Solo, often stepping in during heated backstage arguments. But his involvement only seemed to deepen the rift. Solo's frustration grew as Rikishi sided with Roman more often than not, emphasizing the importance of unity over individual ambition. At the same time, Roman began using Rikishi as a mouthpiece to manipulate Solo, further eroding their relationship. In one backstage segment, Rikishi warned Solo, "If you can't get on board, you'll be out of the bloodline and out of this family." Solo, feeling cornered, began forging alliances outside the bloodline. Rumors swirled that he was in talks with former rivals, planting the seeds for a potential rebellion. The tipping point came during a high-stakes match at Survivor Series. Roman and Solo were forced to team up against a united front of Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Cody Rhodes. Rikishi accompanied them to ringside, serving as a manager and attempting to keep the peace. Midway through the match, a miscommunication led to Roman inadvertently spearing Solo. Furious, Solo abandoned the match, leaving Roman to be pinned by Cody. After the loss, Roman confronted Solo backstage, but this time, Solo struck first, landing a devastating Samoan spike on the tribal chief. The next week on SmackDown, Rikishi addressed the WWE Universe. "I came here to keep this family together," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "But sometimes, even family can't see eye to eye. Solo, if you can't respect this family, then maybe it's time you learned the hard way." Rikishi then did the unthinkable. He aligned fully with Roman, vowing to bring Solo back into line, even if it meant stepping into the ring himself. The WWE Universe was left wondering where this family drama would lead. Could Solo Sikoa overcome the combined forces of Roman Reigns and Rikishi? Would he find new allies to stand against the bloodline? Or would Rikishi's influence eventually bring Solo back into the fold? One thing was certain, the bloodline story was far from over, and the involvement of a WWE legend like Rikishi had added a new layer of complexity to this already compelling saga. The tribal chief might have secured an ally in Rikishi, but with Solo Sikoa's defiance growing stronger, the foundation of the bloodline remained on shaky ground. As the WWE Universe eagerly awaited the next chapter, one question lingered: who would truly stand tall as the head of the table? 7 feet 3 inches WWE superstar to join the bloodline and immediately attack Roman Reigns? Exploring the chances, the Bloodline saga in WWE continues to evolve even after the Bloodline Civil War at Survivor Series 2024. The OG Bloodline emerged victorious over the new Bloodline. The frustration of the same was evident on Solo Sikoa's face during the latest edition of SmackDown. Alongside his faction, the self-proclaimed tribal chief launched a brutal backstage assault and later attacked both LA Knight and Andrade in the ring. However, Solo's faction is currently shorthanded due to Tanga Loa reportedly suffering a real-life injury from the War Games match. This leaves his bloodline in need of a potential replacement. One realistic possibility is the 7'3" giant, Omos, joining the villainous side of the bloodline. If this scenario holds true, Omos could make an immediate impact by attacking Roman Reigns. The original tribal chief has been noticeably absent from WWE television and is not advertised for any upcoming shows, which has raised some eyebrows. However, there's a strong belief that Reigns will make his return on the highly anticipated Raw Netflix debut show. If WWE decides to have Omos align with Solo Sikoa's bloodline, it could set the stage for an intense confrontation between Sikoa and Reigns. Sikoa could express his frustration over his loss at War Games and demand vengeance on the head of the table. Suddenly, the Nigerian giant could storm the ring, attacking the OTC and making a massive reintroduction to WWE TV. Omos' last in-ring appearance was during the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on April 5, 2024. Since then, the Giant has been absent from action. While Tanga Loa's injury is unfortunate, it presents an opportunity for Omos to shine if he joins the family drama alongside Solo Sikoa's faction. This move would also strengthen Sikoa's bloodline, adding another powerhouse to the group alongside Jacob Fatu. Triple H's era in WWE is known for its surprises, and it remains to be seen if the game will pull off something unexpected like this in the Bloodline saga. Solo Sikoa might bring his past WWE rival as a potential replacement for Tanga Loa. If not Omos, then the self-proclaimed tribal chief might bring his past WWE rival, Drew McIntyre, as a potential replacement for Tanga Loa. For those who might not know, Solo Sikoa was the one who cost McIntyre a world title win against Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle 2022. This was the first time Solo became part of the Bloodline saga on the main roster. Despite these rifts, Drew and Solo might join forces to take down Roman Reigns. The Scottish Warrior recently attacked Sami Zayn in the Raw main event, which seemingly puts him in contention to eventually go after the OTC. With this, Sikoa and McIntyre might form a temporary alliance to take down the OG Bloodline and Reigns. In this scenario, the Scotsman could serve as a temporary replacement for Tanga Loa in the new Bloodline. Fans will have to wait for the upcoming weeks to see how the storyline progresses and if Drew and Solo can even get on the same page against the OG Bloodline. It was a typical Friday night on WWE SmackDown. The crowd buzzed with anticipation as Paul Heyman, the perennial wise man, stood center stage. His voice resonated through the arena, introducing Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, as the fans' boos thundered louder. The tribal chief emerged, the ever-commanding presence of Solo Sikoa by his side, his signature smirk masking the turmoil within the bloodline. But tonight, everything was about to change. A surprise announcement as Roman stood in the ring, flanked by Heyman and Solo, he began addressing the audience. Everything you see, the dominance, the power, the gold, it all flows through me. I am the source. The head of the table. The tribal chief. Before Roman could finish, Paul Heyman stepped forward, holding a microphone. "Tribal chief, if I may interrupt," Heyman said, his voice trembling slightly. "We've found someone. Someone who could ensure that the bloodline's reign doesn't just continue, it becomes unstoppable." Roman raised an eyebrow, the hint of irritation flickering across his face. He hadn't approved of this. "What are you talking about, Paul?" Heyman grinned nervously. "May I present to you the Enforcer?" The arena lights dimmed. A towering shadow appeared at the top of the ramp, slowly stepping into the spotlight. The crowd gasped in unison as a colossal figure, standing at an imposing 7 feet 3 inches, made his way to the ring. His physique was monstrous, his movements calculated, and his expression stone-cold. Michael Thorne, a new face to WWE but a name whispered in the wrestling underground, had arrived. Roman's confidence didn't waver as Thorne entered the ring. Instead, he smirked, stepping forward to assert dominance. "You're big," Roman said, looking up at Thorne. "But size doesn't make you worthy of standing next to me." Paul Heyman interjected, clearly trying to mediate. "Tribal Chief, Michael Thorne is here to serve the family. His loyalty is..." Before Heyman could finish, Thorne grabbed the microphone from his hand. "I'm not here to serve anyone," Thorne growled, his voice low and menacing. "I'm here to take everything." The crowd erupted as Roman's smirk vanished. The tribal chief's eyes narrowed, realizing too late the danger standing before him. The attack without warning, Thorne struck. His massive hand shot out, grabbing Roman by the throat. The crowd gasped as Thorne hoisted the champion into the air and slammed him down with a thunderous chokeslam. Solo Sikoa, loyal to Roman, charged forward, but Thorne met him with a devastating boot to the face, sending him sprawling out of the ring. Paul Heyman stood frozen, clutching his face in horror. The boos from the crowd turned to stunned silence as Thorne grabbed the undisputed championship and held it aloft. "This doesn't belong to you anymore, Roman," Thorne snarled. Backstage fallout. The chaos continued backstage. Roman, holding his ribs, stormed into the Bloodline's locker room, where Heyman awaited with an ice pack and trembling hands. "Paul, explain yourself," Roman roared. "Tribal Chief, I didn't know," Heyman stammered. "Thorne was supposed to be a loyal ally, someone to protect the family." Roman leaned in, his voice dangerously low. "You brought a snake into my ring, Paul. Fix this." Solo, still recovering from Thorne's assault, stepped forward. "I'll take care of him." Roman shook his head. "No, Solo. This isn't just about him. This is about showing everyone, Thorne, the locker room, the world, that nobody betrays the bloodline and survives." Thorne's motivation. In a backstage interview, Thorne revealed his reasons for targeting Roman. "Roman Reigns has spent years sitting at the top of WWE, controlling everyone around him," Thorne said, his deep voice filled with venom. "But dominance isn't given, it's taken. The bloodline doesn't need a tribal chief. It needs a real leader. And that's me." When asked why he attacked Roman on his debut night, Thorne smirked. "Why wait? If you want to make an impact, you go straight for the head." The match is set the following week. SmackDown opened with Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman in the ring. Roman, his usual confidence slightly shaken, called Thorne out. "You want to prove yourself?" Roman said. "You think you're ready to take the throne? Then step up." Thorne's music hit, and the Giant walked out, unflinching. Heyman announced the match, Roman Reigns versus Michael Thorne in the main event. The main event. The anticipation was palpable as the match began. Roman's experience shone through as he tried to outmaneuver the larger Thorne, targeting his legs to bring the Giant down. But Thorne's raw power was undeniable. Every move Roman executed seemed to have little effect. Thorne swatted him away like a fly, his strength overpowering even the tribal chief. As the match reached its climax, Thorne delivered a devastating powerbomb, leaving Roman seemingly out cold. He covered Roman for the pin, but Solo Sikoa interfered, pulling Thorne off. The match ended in chaos as the Bloodline ganged up on Thorne, but the Giant fought them off, standing tall as SmackDown went off the air. The fallout Thorne's attack on Roman shook the Bloodline to its core. Fans speculated about his future in WWE and whether he could dismantle Roman's empire. Would Thorne become the new face of the Bloodline, or was his rebellion destined to fail against Roman's iron will? One thing was certain, Thorne's arrival had changed everything. The Bloodline was no longer untouchable, and Roman's reign was under siege. Solo Sikoa's Bloodline may have quietly recruited another star on WWE SmackDown. Popular superstar worried on WWE SmackDown. Solo Sikoa's Bloodline may have secretly recruited another star and given it away. A popular star seemed worried and expressed this on social media after the show. LA Knight was out addressing Shinsuke Nakamura this week when Andrade also came out to make his presence known. The three stars were in a face-off, and it appeared that the United States Championship might have more than one contender again, but the Bloodline attacked them. Tama Tonga, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu appeared. While Knight and Andrade were taken out, Solo Sikoa confronted Shinsuke Nakamura but didn't attack him. He was allowed to leave, which led to speculation that he had actually been recruited by the Bloodline and that he was part of the group. Seeing the speculation, Andrade admitted that he had not thought about it. He reposted a fan post that called Shinsuke a member of the Anoa'i family after his actions on SmackDown. While the recruitment is not official, and Shinsuke appeared threatening with his mist, fans will have to wait and see if he sides with Sikoa. In the high-stakes world of WWE SmackDown, the Bloodline's grip on power has been unshakable for years. Led by the indomitable Roman Reigns, this faction has defined a new era in professional wrestling, dominating both the ring and the storyline landscape. However, amidst this power struggle, there has been one quiet yet significant shift. Solo Sikoa, Roman's trusted enforcer, might have quietly recruited another star into the Bloodline, sending shockwaves throughout the roster. For weeks, rumors had been circulating about potential changes within the Bloodline's ranks. But the whispers grew louder after a strange series of backstage interactions involving a rising superstar who had been making waves across WWE. Solo, who has earned his place as a fearsome force under the Bloodline banner, has been expanding his reach, carefully observing and scouting potential candidates. However, this recruitment wasn't as overt as one might expect from a faction known for its ruthless approach to expanding its territory. The superstar in question is none other than LA Knight, whose rise in WWE has been nothing short of meteoric. With his undeniable charisma and electrifying energy, Knight has captured the attention of fans worldwide. His catchphrases and high-energy matches have made him one of the hottest stars on the roster. But could his unrelenting pursuit of greatness make him the perfect candidate to join the Bloodline, despite his current popularity? The signs were subtle at first. LA Knight had been showing a more reserved side of himself during his recent SmackDown appearances. While his usual boisterous persona remained intact, there were moments of hesitation, glances exchanged with Solo, a shared understanding between the two that didn't seem to be a coincidence. For a moment, it looked like LA Knight had been targeted by the Bloodline, but without the usual spectacle. Then came the match that raised further eyebrows, a backstage confrontation between LA Knight and Solo Sikoa after Knight's victory in a high-profile match. Solo, ever the silent and imposing figure, had quietly observed Knight's performance from the shadows. It was a rare occurrence for someone outside the bloodline to be given such attention. Normally, the bloodline doesn't waste time on distractions, especially when their focus is on domination, but Knight's resilience and skill didn't go unnoticed by the enforcer. In the moments following the match, Solo approached Knight backstage, their conversation initially out of earshot from the cameras. What was discussed remains a mystery, but the exchange was significant enough to stir unease among those who witnessed it. It wasn't the usual forced alliance or heated altercation. It was something deeper, a calculated approach, a plan unfolding quietly. What does this mean for the bloodline's future? Roman Reigns, the faction's head of the table, is known for his unrelenting control. He has made it clear that he will go to any length to ensure the supremacy of his family, but the introduction of new blood into their already powerful unit could be a double-edged sword. While LA Knight's inclusion could bring a fresh dynamic to the group, it could also undermine the delicate power balance the bloodline has cultivated over the years. But why would someone like LA Knight, with his massive fan base and successful solo career, want to join a faction that is notoriously tight-knit and controlling? The answer may lie in the underlying tension in Knight's current trajectory. Despite his popularity, he has yet to secure a major title, and it seems that his ambitions could eventually force him to reconsider his path. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, has held the Universal Championship for what feels like an eternity. His grip on the title remains unchallenged, and his family's influence has only grown stronger. Knight, despite his charm and confidence, could recognize that his path to championship glory might require more than just charisma. It might require the strength and unity of a faction like the Bloodline. In a business where opportunities don't come often, Knight may see joining Roman and his family as the next logical step in cementing his legacy. But there's more to this recruitment than just a possible alliance between two stars. LA Knight's potential inclusion could also signify a larger power shift within WWE. The Bloodline has dominated the show for years, but introducing a fresh, high-profile member could bring new tensions and rivalries to the forefront. Fans have seen how friction has played out within the group, first with the slow unraveling of Jey Uso's relationship with Roman, and more recently with the uncertain future of Jimmy Uso. Adding someone like Knight could act as a catalyst for new conflicts or a way to further solidify their dominance. On the other hand, Knight may not be fully aligned with Solo's quiet recruitment plan. As a popular figure in WWE, Knight has always prided himself on his independence. He may not be ready to be shackled by the Bloodline's rule. His fans, who have been rallying behind him for months, have made it clear that they enjoy the lone wolf persona that Knight projects. The last thing they might want is for their hero to become just another pawn in Roman Reigns' calculated kingdom. This could lead to a clash between Knight's current persona and the ruthless nature of the Bloodline. Moreover, a group that includes Knight, Solo, and Roman Reigns could disrupt the dynamics within WWE SmackDown. If the rumors are true, Knight could bring a new layer of intensity to the Bloodline, forcing other superstars to rethink their strategies in order to keep up with the newly forged alliance. The rest of the roster, including established stars like Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and even new contenders, might find themselves facing a more formidable and unpredictable faction. One superstar who's undoubtedly worried about these developments is none other than the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. The Austrian powerhouse has been at the top of SmackDown for a long time, holding the Intercontinental Championship with unmatched dominance. However, Gunther's confidence could be his biggest liability in the face of a possible Bloodline expansion. As the faction continues to grow, it would make sense for them to set their sights on every major title on the show. Gunther's reign might be in jeopardy, and his status as one of the top stars on SmackDown could be tested if Solo and LA Knight's alliance becomes official. In the coming weeks, the tension will only continue to rise. The Bloodline is known for its strategic moves, and with Roman Reigns seemingly out of the spotlight for now, it falls to Solo to make the next big play. Could LA Knight be the next member of this powerful family? The odds are shifting, and with every passing day, WWE fans are left to wonder just how far the Bloodline is willing to stretch its dominance. Only time will tell whether Solo Sikoa's quiet recruitment of LA Knight will lead to an official alliance, or whether it will fuel a new rivalry that will take SmackDown in a completely different direction. Either way, WWE SmackDown is about to enter a new chapter, and it's one that will have fans on the edge of their seats.